Greetings and welcome back, one and all, to Factorio Beginner's Guide, where I am joined as ever by Shenrry.
Do you know how hard it is to not press C right now? It's so hard. It's so incredibly hard.
I find it fairly easy, actually. I'm not even possessed of the desire to do it. I think that speaks volumes about us. Now, you may notice that I have redesigned this little area. It was hopelessly... really sad.
Just taking out some frustration on the wall.
But I've redesigned this little area so that we're only using 2 factories and they are both feeding directly into the robopods. Now, there is a couple of things that I wanted to cover. A couple of things that people have mentioned. Actually, I need to pick that up and move it slightly. Just to clarify. Now, in the last episode, I mentioned that roboports, that the constructor robots could operate in the green area and the logistics robots operated in the orange area. Now, some people took that to mean that these were exclusive. That the construction robots could only operate in green. It's not that way. They can operate across green and orange, the whole sort of area, whereas the logistics have a much smaller area of operation. That's all I was trying to imply there. So don't worry, you don't have to do crazy weird stuff in order to get repair coverage over everything. Yep. Secondly, the little beep beep that you hear from now and then, it's not just the radar on the robopods. There are actually little beeps and doodads that you'll hear when you're around any robots.
Beep,
but
beep.
The beep beep is letting us know that there are objects that are damaged for which there are not enough repair packs or construction robots or spare walls or whatever might need to be fully replaced available to repair them. So that's what that's talking about. Yeah. Right.
Well, we do have repair packs being built, so why don't we add them to the network?
I think that is actually a very good idea. Now, there's 2 ways you can do it. One is to simply pipe it straight down into a roboport, and then repair robots will go to that roboport to pick up the repair packs, and all will be well. Alternatively, you can make them available to the logistics network as normal by making this a logistics chest. Now, to do that, as we mentioned in the last episode, we need to do a little bit of research. We need the circuit network. This will give us smart chests, and these are a prerequisite for building the logistics chest. This will unlock smart chests, red wire, green wire, and the combinators, which allow you to do work on like logic gates and sort of conditional programming. So we'll just research that. It's a very quick research, especially with all of our science facilities dedicated to the task. As you can see, it's going up very, very quickly.
Oh, it's all good.
Now, once that is made...
You were saying one option is we could just belt it down to this roboport right here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the robots would go to this particular roboport, be like, oh, hey, we found some repair packs. They run over here, pick up the repair packs, and then take them where they need it and do the repair jobs. And as you can see, it says there's 13 repair tasks that we have available right now.
Yep. Now, we should be able to make... There we are, the passive provider and the storage chest. Now... storage is probably the better one to use here. Passive provider it makes an item available to the network, but things can't be stored in it. Whereas storage makes things available to the network, but it can also be used as a place to drop things off. So actually, thinking on it, the passive provider would be the better thing here because we don't want anything other than repair packs in this particular chest. So we'll go ahead and replace that.
Anytime you're using a box... Oh, yeah, it's got that little orange color to it.
There we go. We can see some robots on their way already. Here they come.
Oh, here we go. They're picking them up.
Boink. And off they go.
Here comes more.
Got other robots from other factories, quite a few of them.
They're going to repair that wall that I shot at.
Yeah, they are. I thought you did that on purpose. I didn't actually think you were taking your frustrations out on the wall. Oh my god, you're a madman. I thought you were doing that to give us some sort of reason to demonstrate the way they work, you crazy fella.
No, they just had to recharge at that last overport. And look at this, even in the middle of their task, they have to come over here and recharge.
Well, they had to travel a fair way in order to pick up the repair packs. But now, if we look in here, we'll see that there are 32 repair packs available. Construction robots there, logistics robots, and all is well in the world. But now, while we're going to look around the factory, make sure that everything is covered by the roboports that needs to be covered by the roboports, let's go ahead and research... well, I kind of like blueprints, honestly.
Yep, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, we're going
Done.
to show you how blueprints work. Now, blueprints are especially useful in that it allows you to very rapidly, quite simply blueprint an area for something to be built. Now, that does require that the construction robots have access to the things you want that area to be made out of, but it also allows for the construction of deconstruction blueprints. Now, the deconstruction blueprints, you only ever need one of them because it's more of an idea than anything else. As long as that's in your inventory, you can select a whole area using that blueprint and you designate it for deconstruction. And your construction robots will fly over and will literally mine or break down whatever that thing is, and they will do it a hell of a lot faster than you can hope to do with your steel tools in most cases. It's generally almost instantaneous for most things that they break down. They're very, very good at that task.
Okay, I've started to put down some passive providers here, so we'll at least have some raw resources.
Excellent.
Just in case we need them. And as Aavak was mentioning, the difference between, I know we went over this last episode, but just in case, the difference between the storage chest and the passive provider is the storage chest can store any particular item, anything. But a passive provider will only ever store whatever is put into it by an inserter. And in this case, we have factories that are directly producing repair packs, and we want that storage chest to only ever hold repair packs. Or up here, I just put down some passive providers for iron plates, and I only ever want these chests to have iron plates in them. So that's the case where you want to use a passive provider. Whereas the storage chest will just store whatever's in the network that the bots don't need to carry anymore. They'll put it there.
Yeah, indeed. I'm actually going to update all of these chests with passive providers, but we've now finished the research on the blueprint, so I'm going to go ahead and queue up the research on the logistics system, which will give us access to the last two types of logistics chests. Don't worry, we are going to cover in detail all of the types of logistics chests and how exactly they differ, but here we'll have the active provider chest and the requester chest. Now, generally speaking, to have a functional factory that relies on robots instead of belts, you need the requester chest and the passive provider chest. The others are generally optional with varying degrees of it's optional, but you probably do really want it.
Oh, you want them.
Yeah, but with requesters and passive providers, these are essential to have a functioning logistics network for your factory. So there we go.
It seems to be a much longer research, though.
Yes. The logistics system actually uses alien artifacts, but we now have blueprints. So I'm going to make one deconstruction blueprint. Now, the regular blueprints, I'll actually show how those are used, but understand that they are different. You do use them in a very different way. I'm going to lock that in place. The blueprint, I'm not going to lock in place, but understand that they are going to take up a lot of room in your inventory. Now, the way that you use the deconstruction blueprint, let's go and find a nice place where we can use it that doesn't involve me dying on the trade track. Let's say, for example, trees. Trees are always...
Trees are the best.
A little bit of a pain for you to deal with.
A little bit?
Well, a lot of a pain, really. Is this in the logistics network? Yes, it is. Well, it needs to be in the construction network. For example, there's this coal right here. Say we wanted that. You just draw out an area with your deconstruction blueprint, and then all of this is now designated for deconstruction. You can see the little red X's on them.
Yep.
And here comes some construction robots and a whole fleet of them coming from further afield. And they have deconstructed it, but now they're carrying the resource. Now, I did this in this particular order specifically to demonstrate what happens when you have nowhere for these things to go. They are going to recharge because they couldn't quite get there in time, and the others will go and recharge, but they're just going to hang around now. They're tied up because they're holding something and can't drop it off. This is what you want the storage chests for. You can get by with request a chest as long as you only ever break something down that you've got a request a chest for. The way that the chests work, passive provider, as we covered, just kind of passively makes what's inside it available to the network. So the logistics robots can see it and can take from it, but they can't put anything else into it. The storage chest works both ways. It doesn't, try to get rid of anything it's got, but it makes it available. Also, it's available as a place that things can be dropped off. The requester chest is basically the reverse of the passive provider. That's the blue chest. Now, the requester chest is always asking for something. If it's available in the network, the requester chest will take priority as its storage location. to the point that if it's in a storage chest, a robot will go and get it out of the storage chest and then take it to the requester of the chest, because the requester is actively requesting that it be brought to it, whereas the storage chest is simply, you can put it here if you want to. And then the active provider is much the same way, really, in that it's actively providing. Instead of the passive provider, which simply makes that item available to the network and says, well, it's here if you ever want it, the active provider is saying, I don't want it inside me anymore. Come and take it away. As soon as there is somewhere for you to take it to, come and get it from me first. So that's probably the most optional of any of the chests. I use that one the least out of all of them. But the passive provider, yeah, the active provider, the purple chest. Now, we're going to make...
I've thrown down a couple storage chests, so all of those wood-bearing bots have come to drop them off up here.
Excellent.
And you're going to want to have several of these, because your bots are constantly going to be picking stuff up that they don't have anywhere to put it, so the storage chests are going to be the optimal place for that.
That is quite correct, yep. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more to add to this, because you will fill these up. They're fairly large chests, so, you're not going to fill them up super fast, but it will happen. Whilst we're waiting on this research, now the next thing is character logistics slots. Now, this is one of the other really, really important things. And again, it's a fairly easy one to research. Only takes red and green science. So let's go ahead and research this one. And once that's ready, we'll cover what it actually does for us. So
it's so good.
More there, and I'll make an extra 2 just because. There we go. Thankfully, most of the chests are fairly quick builds. There we are. I've also got a lot. I broke down the previous Roboport with all of its robots inside. And, yeah, so...
You've got robots everywhere.
Yeah, there we go. I've released them all, and they can go and find their own homes somewhere until they are needed. So there we are. We've actually got a lot of robots in the Roboports. If we actually look at any part of the logistics network, it'll tell you certain things. So, for example, hovering over a Roboport tells me that in this particular Roboport, we have 99 constructions, 33 logistics, and 4 repair packs in this Roboport itself. But if we look at the logistics network itself, that is any of the chests, then aside from the various other stats about the chest, what it does, its health, that sort of thing, available logistics robots across the whole network that is attached to this chest, there are 309 logistics robots available. There are also 383 construction robots available. Right now, we've got a lot of robots that can do a lot of things for us. It'll also tell us what's in the logistics system storage. So even though this chest has nothing in it itself, according to the logistics network, there's 136 wood, 500 red belts, 2.4 thousand repair packs, 14,000 steel, 24,000 copper, and 72,000 iron. So we've got a fairly good collection of quite a lot of the important stuff for our factory.
It's known as crap, okay? We have a lot of it, and I've gone and thrown a passive provider on the red belt box, because that's something that you're going to have that needs repairs all the time. What else do you think we should put on? I don't think the railroads probably need that, at least not yet.
Well, the railroads probably should, simply because they can then be used to repair any rail that gets damaged within the network's area effect. Ultimately, you may as well put passive provider chests on everything over time, because it just makes it available. I mean, there are certain places where you can be certain that it's never going to need to use a robot to go there. But, for just the odds and sods, like pipes and things like that, you never know when some odd pipe out in the middle of nowhere is going to get damaged and destroyed. Because at that point, a repair robot will go and completely fix it. In fact, let's just demonstrate this, shall we? Let's find something that we've got on the logistics network that we can break. Are the walls on the logistics network yet?
Nope.
Then let's go and add a provider chest to the walls. That's actually a pretty good one to have on the logistics network, actually. There we go. And
speaking of that, I guess I'll put one down on the lasers.
Yes, pretty much. In fact, the Roboport, now it can repair its own Roboports. Oh, that's just fantastic. Crazy. I know.
Pretty soon you're going to have robots building themselves, and then what?
Yep. Then they'll start upgrading themselves, and then the upgraded robots will start building no robots, and soon you'll have robots that are far more intelligent than us building even more intelligent robots, and singularity will occur, and then we'll all be slaves and turned into batteries. Or
Awesome.
it'll be utopia, and the robots will just, keep us as pets. They'll be like benevolent gods.
Did you?
Right.
Did you get the wall on the network now?
Yes, we did. Go ahead, get your frustrations out so you don't kill me in the next episode. Now, there's going to be repair bots on their way, but now there are actually completely destroyed walls. And the first thing a bunch of the construction robots did was it went to the wall chest, picked up new walls, and carried them to the destination. That is the importance of the little ghosted purple images. So there we go.
And
Excellent.
here comes the repairs.
Indeed.
And this... Oh, they ran out of juice.
They ran out of juice halfway there, yeah. Now, they didn't quite run out of juice, but they were getting very low on their internal battery pack. So they prioritized, while I've still got energy, go to the nearest roboport and repair and recharge before continuing. They can fully run out of power. Now, contrary to what you might imagine, they're not going to immediately crash and die. They'll simply slow down a lot. And the only thing they'll try to do is recharge at that point.
It's like they have their own internal source of oil that never runs out.
Indeed. Right. Okay, now, the way that blueprints work. Now, prepare yourself to have a lot of blueprints in your inventory if there are lots of things that you build a lot of the time.
I wouldn't say prepare to have them in your inventory, but prepare to have them in a box.
Well, yes. Now, this is the way that you can use a blueprint. In much the same way as a deconstruction blueprint, you drag a box around what you want to have in the blueprint. In this case, I'm going to blueprint our green circuit construction setup, because it's pretty much we build it all the time. So there are 9 blue inserters, 5 blue factories, 2 red inserters, 2 medium power poles, and doop, there we go. Now, the blueprint setup icon, I can make this icon fairly complicated. So for example, you can choose whatever you want. So I could make it just have the green circuit icon. That's the icon that will be on this blueprint, and this is what it will make for me. Gives you an indication of what that is. You can cancel it, or you can create it. If you hit cancel, then that's fine. The blueprint remains blank, and you can use it again if you made any kind of error. But the moment you click on create blueprint, like so, that's it. This blueprint is now set. I can't undo that. I believe you can actually clear them, but it takes an electronic circuit to do that. But at this point, I've got the whole thing set up in a little blueprint, and I can rotate it as I want and place it wherever I want. And as long as all of the components are available to the logistics network, it'll be built. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plop that down there. And once again, we hear that beep, beep. This is letting me know that something that is needed is not part of the logistics network. In this case, we do not have medium electric poles or the blue factories as part of the logistics network. Everything else is being brought along, though, which is quite lovely, including, you'll notice, those factories are already set for the things that they need to be set for. It's not just the factory, they're copying over the settings of the factory. But in this case,
really nice.
We don't actually want that there, so I'm going to tell them to break that down for me.
It's almost as if we should put blue factories into the design.
I know. Funny that. There's a lot of things. Once you actually get to robots, especially construction robots, you'll find that you'll be spending a lot of time adding things that you're making into the logistics queue, or setting up automation for those things, the things that you use the most.
Let's display how this works. Let's say we want to put blue factories on the network. We don't have anywhere in our facility that makes blue factories yet. So why don't we go ahead and do that using logistics robots right here? Let's just show people how it's done.
Yeah, by all means. We'll need some iron plates, 3 electric circuits, 5 iron gears, and 1 basic assembly machine. So it means that we also need the basic assembly machines being made in our factory. But that one's a lot easier. It's just green circuits, 5 iron gear wheels, and iron plates.
Okay, so I've put down a requester chest here, since we don't want to belt anything over. That's the whole point of having robots, is you don't need these silly belts anymore. I mean, you can still use them because they're fun, but they're not necessary anymore.
They are not necessary,
okay.
That is quite
correct. So once we're in here at the requester chest, we can say, hey, I want to have stuff. Is it middle click? Oh, here we go. It's right in the middle.
There you go.
Okay, so you click on what you want. In this case, we want what, green circuits, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, what else?
I'll tell you what they are.
Yeah.
We need 3 green circuits, 5 iron gear wheels, and 9 iron plates. So if you make them in multiples of 3, so for example 30 green circuits, that means you'll have enough to make 10 factories in that chest at any one time. 50 iron gear wheels, means you'll have enough to make 10, and 90 iron plates. And that means that our logistics robots will go out of their way to keep this stocked with the correct amount of things. They'll sometimes put a little bit more in there, especially if they'd already been given an order to go there before you'd adjusted it, but generally they'll try to maintain that amount. Now, we don't currently have anywhere that is simply making green circuits and putting it into the network because we've always made those locally. Perhaps at this point it is time for us to consider doing something else with that and actually having the green circuits be stored in a small chest. And that can be done very easily, like super easily, almost cheating. It's so easy.
Oh, we don't have gears in a box either.
No, that is true. But anywhere where you're producing a lot of them, for example, we're making an awful lot of green circuits just over here by the red circuit area. I'm just going to set that up to pop into a provider chest for us. There we go. I'm not actually going to limit it in any way. I'm going to let that fill up completely. It would have been best actually if I had multiple arms working on this because it's going to take it a very long time. But eventually, you know, it'll be right. So that one by one, our little robots are popping over there to pick up the green circuits for them. We're also going to want gears. Oh, you've already done that one. Fantastic. Yeah. Ah, right, I see. You're picking them up from over there. Next, now, do be aware that if you've built your factory to be perfectly efficient, and that is you're making exactly the amount that you need for the amount that's going to be used by the factories further down the chain, that if you just randomly start adding boxes everywhere that are pulling from the belt, you're going to throw those ratios off. So, you know, do bear that in mind. It's not always the best idea to look for somewhere where you're already making it. Sometimes it's best to just make it afresh. Next up. What else did we need?
Well, it's already making factories. Yep, so let's make the blue ones. What's next for the blue ones?
For the blue ones, it's
the same stuff.
It's exactly the same stuff. Literally exactly the same ratios, but using one assembly machine.
Can do. I've already got the outputs of the level 1 assembly machines going into a provider chest, so we should be good to go.
Now, what Shen is going to do here is he's simply going to request exactly the same thing. So we're going to have robots dancing back and forth between these chests, which will be illustrated in just a moment. And while Shen is setting that up, I'm going to get a little bit more research being done. We'll also research logistics trash slots, so we'll add that in too. And we'll go over those in just a moment, and then that'll be the last thing that we do in this episode, because we'll largely have covered the act of automating your factory at that point. But this is a pretty good little example here. So, Shen, all you need to do now is put in the blueprint, and there we go. It's being made. Now, this is going to mean that we're going to have robots dancing back and forth, and we're also storing... We're having like 2 separate destinations that are storing largely exactly the same stuff. So our logistics robots are going to be doing a lot of work.
We're out of power. Oh, it's back. We're good.
It's fine. We're good. You can, if you want, just have the factory on the other side of it, though. Like this. Dunk. And then pulling from there. Like that. And then we add in the level 1 factory in the middle chest as well.
Aavak.
Yes.
Aavak.
Yes.
Check our power.
Yes, we're out of power.
We're out of power.
This has been happening frequently. It's because we've got a lot of robots running right now.
It is because of robots, yes. Robots use a lot of power, by the way. Just a heads up. We have not expanded our power in a long time.
But there we are. Now, if you really want to, you can just restrict this, but there's no need because the only things that will ever be putting anything in this chest are doing it to a very specific amount. We only want 5 of these. There we go. So there's enough to make 5 of whatever at any time. But But there we are.
Okay, so let's talk about the character logistics slots, because that's what really the power of the robots is. For me, that's like the best thing about it. So if you go you go to your inventory. This is my own inventory where you normally have a crafting window. Well, now you have another thing in the middle where you have these little trash bins, and you have logistics at the top. And what these do is, just like the requester chest there, you click on it and you say, what item would you like? And then how much of that item would you like? And you can do it for up to 10 items at the moment. And
you can expand that later on.
yes, with technology, yes. With research. And what happens is the robots will bring it to you just like they bring it to a requester chest, because you are essentially a walking, talking requester chest.
Yeah.
And you are also an active provider chest. Anything you put in the trash slots counts as something like, hey, get this off me right away. That's an active provider. And the robots just run over and pick it up and take it away from you. It's so good. So let's show how to do that with these blue factories that we just made. Let's put them in logistics there.
Sure, yeah. Pop them in logistics, and I'll request 5 of them. Always have 5.
Yeah.
I also want to keep a stock of red belts on me.
Oh, I've got solid fuel blocks. That's going in the trash.
Yeah. The pipes are going in the trash from me. The yellow belts, and all of these are just being picked up immediately and carted off.
So good. Here come the bots. They're taking my junk.
I also want a stock of ammo at all times.
Stock of ammo, that's already being provided. Stock of belts, stock of inserters, that sort of stuff. The stuff that you need on a regular basis. Repair packs, inserters, power poles, whatever. That kind of stuff, ammo. You want to have a logistics bring that to you.
Yep. Now, obviously, it'll only do it when you're within the area of the logistics network, but what you'll quite often find is you might be out doing things, you know, fighting biters and stuff like that, and you'll drive near to the base. Now, it makes sense to drive to the base whenever your tank or car is damaged, because the repair robots will come out to repair it for you. But also, when you drop by, if you've expended ammo, logistics robots will rush over to deliver the ammo to you as well.
Yeah, it's so handy. Like, what you do is you drive home. Oh, by the way, they took all my junk by it. They took all my trash already. You drive home. They're like, I'm out of stuff. And the robots just swarm over. They take away the trash. In other words, like, for example, cotton candy, alien cotton candy. You put that in your trash, the robots will come pick it up, and they'll put it where it needs to go. That's so good.
Yeah. Well, assuming you've set up a request.
Requester chest
for
right. But otherwise it goes into storage box, which is fine too.
Yep.
In
fact, on that note, I will set up the requester chest for alien artifacts. There we go, and that can just be as many as it can take. There we are, that's the only thing that should be in there. But on that note, I think it's about time to wrap up. So we've covered in this episode setting up the basics of automation. And what Shen and I are likely going to do is set up a couple of the odds and sods items that we haven't made a specific factory area to make. Just simple things like making blue factories, like making medium electric poles, that sort of thing. And we'll just dot them around in this area. I see no better place to put it. And when we return, we will start looking at the next big thing on our list to research, and that will be modules. And we'll cover how to use those and improve the efficiency or the speed or the productivity of all of your factories or mining operations, smelting operations, that sort of thing.
Sounds like a plan. So we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.